Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Advanced React WooCommerce Theme Development with REST API. In the previous video, we displayed the WordPress comments for a single post, and in this video, we're going to start building our comment form. So basically, what we want is, we want something like this comment form. Okay, so let's build that. So what we're going to do is we'll go to this pull request, and which is pull request number 42, and then we'll go to comments/index.js. okay, now inside of this we need to build a comment form. Okay, so first of all, let's create a component called comment form, and this component is going to be wrapped inside of a div because we want a ref. So let's go to, let's close the blog, close the comment.js, close the next config, and inside of the index.js, just beneath where we are displaying all the comments, we're going to place this div, a ref comment form element, and then this will be the comment component that we'll be creating and importing in some time. It'll require two pieces of information. First is the post ID and second is the reply comment ID. So why we want ref is basically because if someone goes ahead and clicks on the reply button, we want to scroll and take the user to this particular form. Okay, so that's why we need ref, because we don't do a DOM query in React, as you might already know. So let's go ahead and create a ref for this one. So you're going to create, so I'll just copy this and paste it up top. Okay, so here we're saying comment form element, and we'll use the useRef from React. So we'll pull that on the top, and then we'll just initially set its value to null, and then we'll have the reply comment ID and set reply comment ID. Why we need that is because when the user clicks on one of these reply comments, we need to know what is the parent ID for this comment so that we can associate the new comment with the parent ID. So tomorrow, if you're building anything with like a threaded comment, then we should know that who was the parent of that particular comment, right? Okay, so then we'll just pull use state from top, so just import it on top. So it's been imported right here, and then we pass the reply comment ID over here. Okay, so now it's time to build this particular component called comment form. So again, I'll go to my pull request and I'll look for the comment form, which is here. So we're going to create a new component, and we'll name it as comment form.js. okay, and this function, basically this component is going to be called comment form export default comment form, and is going to take two pieces of information. First is the post ID that you are creating the comment for, and the reply comment ID, who is the parent of this particular comment. Then we're going to initialize an input state, because we're going to have certain inputs inside of this form input elements. So we'll initialize that on top. So initializing the post ID, the date, and the parent. So date will be the current date, like the current timestamp whenever he's posting that particular comment, and then the parent ID will be your reply comment ID. Then we'll just initialize that. So the job of this will basically be to set the input, and let's import it here. Okay, and we're passing the initial input state inside of this use state. So initializing the state for the input, and set input function is responsible for setting the state of this input. So this will contain all the input information, like your text, your email, your first name, last name, URL, etc. Okay, then let's scroll down. And inside of a return statement, which is this, we'll go ahead and add the form HTML tag. This form is going to take an action which is not going to do anything because we'll be submitting the form via JavaScript. So we'll be just preventing any default behavior of the form, but it's okay. Just put slash here. No validate. We don't want any browser validation here. Your comment form ID, and then on the submit, what you want to do, like handle the form submit. So you need to call that function. So I'll create a function here called handle form submit, and that's where it's going to be going ahead and handling the form submit. And of course it's going to be like event.prevent default, but we will do that later. Okay. Next up, we'll just have a heading called leave a comment. So you know there's a heading like leave a comment, right? So we're gonna put that heading there. And next up, we need some comment notes like that. So your email address will not be published. Required fields are marked as asterisks. Okay. Then we're going to need a text area comment, a text area tag, because users should be able to write his comment, his or her comment. So we're going to need that. So we're going to build a component called text area. Now, just to let you know that we did build some of the form elements here when we are building the checkout, but most of them is very closely tied to the checkout form. Like this input field has some dependency on like is shipping, etc. So that's why I'm not going to use these form elements. Rather, I will create another directory and place our generic components there, so that in the future when we're building something else, let's say when we're building the user login, registration, etc., at that point of time, if we require any like input component or anything, we can definitely make use of that. Okay. So what we're gonna need is the text area. So let's look for the text area. So we'll create a directory called form elements, and inside of the form element we'll create a file called text area.js. Okay, and inside of this I'll just copy this one, text area, and I'll explain to you what's going on. Okay. Of course we don't have the error and the abbreviation component, which we will get in a moment, but just to let you know, it'll take certain props such as handle on change function, the job of which is to be able to basically update the information that user has entered in the text area. So if the user goes ahead and types something over here like that, this function is responsible for getting that information and passing on to the input element, and basically we're going to be setting the state and passing that value to our initial state, passing that value to our state for input. Then the text area value, the name, label, errors, placeholder, required, container class name, text area, columns, rows, max length, etc. Okay. So inside of this we have a div, we have container class name being passed, then we have the label, and then using the abbreviation component, whether it's going to be required or not, we'll have a standard text area HTML tag passing on to the onChange function, the value of that, placeholder, columns, rows, how many columns, how many rows for this text area, max length, name of this particular element. Okay, and then class name and the ID. Then we're going to need the error component in case if he fills just like 2 letters. Of course we want to do some kind of validation and say that no, you need to at least have certain number of characters before you can submit it. So that kind of errors we can handle that. So now that we've built our text area component, let's go ahead and import that into our comment form in the next video. All right, then. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.